Welcome. Great to have you here. This is a unique moment, a moment that unites all of us. We all face anxiety and loss. We all see broken systems. We all experience the impact of the climate crisis. This is a unique moment. This is a turning point if we choose to make it one. This is a moment to reflect, to learn, to share, and to co-create. And I invite you to contribute. I ask you to contribute. I ask you to partner to fix broken systems. I ask you to join the movement so everyone can step into their change-making power. I ask you to nominate the next generation of change makers. And I ask you to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise. And I ask you to donate to support changemakers. This is our moment to fix the world. This is our moment to contribute. Today is the day, and you are the one.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this session on Changemaker Companies. My name is Arnaud Moureau, and I am one of the global leaders of Ashoka, in charge of our Changemaker Companies initiative and our strategic corporate partnerships. I'm really glad to welcome you all to this session. And for the next hour or so, we will be deep diving on how can companies really contribute to the good of all. And how does that work for them to really become change makers? What we are convinced about at Ashoka is that, as Marie just said, you know, the world is broken on many fronts. There is a lot of systems that need to be fixed, but at the same time, there is probably a wealth of opportunities for those who will be able to understand, you know, how this strategic environment is shifting. And at Ashoka, we believe that companies have a critical role to play, that companies can really contribute very positively to social good, and not just about being compliant and doing what is needed to neutralize their, I would say, negative externalities, but rather to step up and to be able to bring new models that will put at the same level social and economic value creation. We call those organizations Changemaker Companies, and we will be trying within Ashoka to really accelerate this shift from companies who are basically giving back from time to time to companies who really embed social impact at the very core of their business. And in order to do so, we are totally convinced that this is really a matter of changing the culture of those companies. It's really a matter of enabling and empowering change makers within the companies. The teams and the leaders of the companies are those who will change their own companies. It will not come from the outside. But again, the environment is shifting so fast that we need to help companies better understand this fast changing environment. And we are convinced that by engaging with social entrepreneurs, that by learning from the way those organizations and innovators behave, companies can really learn a lot, their teams can learn a lot, and employees can really become change makers as well. So in the next few minutes, we'll be really deep diving into that and make sure that we better understand how the leaders of those companies who agreed to join us today have undertaken this journey. This is a learning journey, so there is no truth in what we're going to share with you. This is just experiences, things that they have been doing in the last few years that they offered to generously share with you. And hopefully, by the end of this session, you will have a better clarity on how corporate leaders can really transform their business deeply, again, and transform them on many dimensions, as we'll be discussing later today. So I'm very proud and honored to have a set of great leaders with us today. There are more than partners. I think that we have been co-creating for many years for some of them. And it's always, I would say, a relationship which has been based on common values. So it's my real pleasure to introduce Dana Leskova. Dana is the head of strategy consulting and sustainability at Boehringer Ingelheim, which has really been our, I would say, fundamental partner which has really shifted the way Ashoka was engaging with corporations. And Dana will share with us, a bit of our common initiative, but also how this is really contributing to evolve Boehringer Ingelheim from the inside, and the ambitions that we have with that. We also have Andrea Davac, who used to be the CEO of Chanel Fragrance and Beauty, is now leading the global efforts, the global sustainability efforts at the group level. And will also share with us a lot of what Chanel does, and you will see that a company in the field of fashion and fragrance and beauty has a lot to offer to the world. And last but not least, I'm very pleased to welcome Sébastien Bossard, who is the CEO of Kersia, a very fast-growing company in the field of hygiene and food safety, and who has also decided to undertake this journey and to really help and equip its companies and colleagues with a new mindset and a changemaker culture. So welcome to you all. And I'm really looking forward to the discussion, to learning from you. So feel free to share everything. This is a safe space. I really wanted to share this as well. So it's really a space where we want to share what we are learning. It's not a window dressing type of exercise. So feel free to speak with your heart, but I'm sure, knowing you a bit, that this is exactly what you will do. Maybe I can ask each of you to start by saying a few words about why you think this is important that companies engage with society, and maybe a bit of your more personal belief. I would love to hear that from you, and maybe we can start with you, Dana, if you agree.
Thank you, Arno, and thank you for the introduction, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon from my side. Happy to be here. As Arno said, I am basically in charge of strategy and consulting and BI, and I also have to say that I have overtaken the role only recently. So everything what I have been actually sharing with you is here, thanks to great engagement from John Shevchik. You might know him, who is basically I would call it, father of the collaboration between BI and Ashoka. For maybe those of you who do not know Boehringer Ingelheim as a name, we are a pharmaceutical company, so we are active in human pharma and also in animal health, around 20 billion, belonging to the top pharma companies operating basically globally across the world. To introduce a little bit myself, Arno, you asked me what are my beliefs. I would say, well, let me mention probably more than one. What I found fundamentally important is, and this is one of my core beliefs, is I really believe that nobody is perfect, but a team can be. And you have heard it many times, but why it matters so much to me. Firstly, I played basketball competitively. And as you know, in any sports, it goes without saying that you need players with different strengths. They have different roles in the team. And this is the only way how to be successful and how to really ultimately win the championship or win the game. And of course, what I learned out of it is that this is the only way how it works. And this is the only way how it works in sports. This is actually also the only way how it works, at least in our family, that each of us has a different role. And this is also the only way how it works in the business. We all have different roles, we all have different strengths, and in order to proceed and progress and grow, we have to learn from each other, we have to leverage each other's strengths, and this is basically what makes us stronger. And this is also the reason why I really fundamentally believe in the strengths of the collaboration with Ashoka and in our Making More Health platform that we created, because having the interaction with these social entrepreneurs is providing us with a lot of diverse perspective. Because what I'm saying, this power of the team, this is of course key and core of diversity, and of course also inclusion that is connected with it. And also the platform that has been created here, it's definitely helping us a lot to get fresh outside in and very different perspectives. Maybe other belief, just to mention and not to steal so much time, would be, for me, it's, everything is possible, sky is the limit. This would be my belief. And it has been proven for me and also for my colleagues, probably this year's more than ever. I mean, if you would have asked me in the beginning of the year whether I would have believed that we would be able to deliver our results and everything we delivered in a fully virtual environment, the clear answer would have been no. I'm just amazed what we have all accomplished as a company, as teams, also in the private life, and also actually are now in our collaboration with Ashoka and social entrepreneurs, despite of the global pandemic, despite of the barriers that have been created. So what it did, it only reinforced my belief that really sky is the limit, and if everything is possible if you have the right people and the right motivation. So this would be a short introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana. I'm glad I just learned something, you know, about basketball. So, Andrea, would you like also to share a bit about yourself and your convictions? You're on mute, I guess.
Thank you so much, Arno, for this introduction, and I'm really glad to be here with you this afternoon or morning, whatever you are. Yeah, just a few words about my career, which is very simple to describe. I've been 40 years at Chanel, so not very exciting. And as Arno was saying, I just come from the business side. I'm not a CSR expert. I've been for almost 20 years head of the fragrance and beauty business in our company. But really, the last 5 years have been for me the most exciting, the most passionate years in my job, and probably the one in which I have the feeling to have made the most stronger impact. And that started 5 years ago, as with the CEO and owner of the company. We really shared the common belief that we had to push forward with much more ambition, a profound transformation of the company, the business model, and the culture, and basically shift from a position where we were, which is traditional CSR position of considering CSR as a supplementary layer which comes on top of the business, which you do in order to protect the company from reputation or just risk management, to define that as the key strategic priority for the company, and basically make sure that it's really embedded, as Arno was saying, in everything we do, in the way we source our product, in the way we design them, we manufacture, we transport, we retail them. And it's a completely shift of culture and mentality. It's not more something which is, in the hand of an expert. It's the everybody business, everybody mission. And this cultural change was daunting in a way at the beginning, and it happened actually much faster and much more powerful than we all expected. And I think we learned something, which is my profound belief. I mean, I work in a company which has been there since almost 100 years, a very successful business, very steady business. And yet we are facing with a huge challenge that everything around us is changing. We are facing with an epochal disruption of all parameters in which we are working. And my God, it's difficult for an organization as ours to transform. How many resistance? We have to transform towards a digital model, to the new working environment, completely different retail environment. How do you make a company to transform? And you know what? If there is a transformation which is incredibly easy to push through, is about sustainability. Just because everybody, when is empowered, jumps on it. And actually, it's the field where you transform the company in depth, and you can link this transformation process to all other challenges you have. It's an incredible dynamism you have. So that is really the belief that this topic is not only important for society, but is fundamentally important to drive a company like ours in the future. So just very short introduction.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more in a minute about the how you decided to undertake that, what were the milestones and the resistances you just mentioned as well, and how you overcome them. Sébastien, over to you, my friend, just to go. I think that you share a bit of what has been said, I'm pretty sure, though.
Clear.
So can you tell us a bit more about yourself, and
of course. First, thank you, Arno. Thank you to Ashoka to be there today. I'm really glad, to be clear, and very happy. who I am first. So I'm 46 years old. I'm the father of 5 children, and I'm coming from a large family. And I'm starting by that because it's probably this origin and this responsibility I have in terms of parents that I want to take care of people. So that's the first part. Secondly, I'm graduated from an engineer, agriculture and food industry school in France, and I love cooking, and I work in these businesses. I mean, from farm or from food industry since the beginning of my career. And today we are manufacturing some product solution for the food safety. And one of my beliefs linked to my business and what I'm doing every day is I don't accept the fact that every year 420,000 people die because of food issue. And to be clear, we want to fight against that point. So that's one of my profound beliefs that I want to change worldwide for that. So that's the sense of what I want. And after, but on top of that, and thanks to my personal history, I think that a bit mentioned by Dana, I think that you cannot do a big thing if you are alone. And you need people around you, and you need to gather people together to make a profound change if you want to move that. So that's what we are doing, because we started, as you mentioned, Arnaud, 4 years ago with 400 people in the company. Today we are 1,500. So we have tripled the size in 4 years, thanks to our shareholder Ardian. And to be clear, what we want to do is to allow each of collaborators and stakeholders we have to have a part of the value we are creating. And that's really critical for me to be to allow the people to have that, because I sincerely think that the former model, economical model we had before, that's over. And if we do not change that part, the company, a bit like said by Andrea, is probably over too. So that's the belief I have and the reason why we are in Ashoka today.
Yeah, thank you so much. What I suggest now is that since we now better understand yourselves and your background, and again, thank you for sharing a bit of your personal belief and history. I would love to now deep dive a bit more on very specific examples of what you are doing in your respective companies in terms of, again, embedding social impact at the core of the business. And we'd love also to understand why, as business leaders, beyond the fact that, as you said, the world is changing so fast, there is disruption everywhere, why do leaders like yourselves take this type of risk in a way, and decide to basically do things slightly differently from others? And what is, where the return on investment of this type of initiative? If you could elaborate, on leveraging your examples to also elaborate on how this is contributing to transform the company and the culture, that would be fantastic. Any volunteer, or should I designate one? Dana, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Anna. I'm not going to repeat what has been said already in the beginning and also by some of my colleagues, but I think it's clear the world is changing. We have a lot of problems, serious problems, lack of skills, not enough food, all the environmental challenges that we have. And we all know it, right? So actually the awareness about the fact that all these problems exist is relatively high. Yet we do not really have a solution as a society and as the companies. And this question has been actually in the core also of the movement that was behind the Making More initiatives at BI. When we basically signed the contract with Ashoka and tried to basically change the world in a way and try to address some of these challenges. Because, Boehringer Ingelheim is a privately owned company. So the sustainability in a way is in the core of what we do. The major target is basically to hand over the organization in a growing and healthy, financial healthy situation to the next generation. So that's why basically also the owners of the company have been asking themselves the question, how are we basically ensuring the sustainability for generations? And we have done a lot, I would actually say, historically, and now I'm really coming back 30, 40 years in the philanthropy, NGOs, governmental interventions, collaboration with different partners. So, working in communities, product donations, as we are in pharma industry, and in all these elements. But what we have realized, and what we keep realizing actually even today, is that this is all good, but we are unable to achieve the scale. We are unable to achieve the impact we would like to, and we think it's basically necessary to address all these challenges and all the problems. So one of our beliefs is that only via this, let's say, philanthropic donations, and only via these, I would call it now, classical formats, we as a company, and also basically as economies, are unable to create significant enough and also fast enough change to address all these challenges, because some of them, and we all know it, there is probably not much time left to really address those. So this was basically, this is the idea that was behind our collaboration with Ashoka. We basically said, okay, if we want to change it, the only way how to change it is to be able to have businesses that are generating certain level of profit, because profit in a way is the engine for the entire economy. Via profit, you are generating taxes, government is getting the income, you can make charitable donations, and this is also the way how you can ultimately make communities sustainable. And we benefit, of course, massively from the network that Ashoka and our partners also beyond Ashoka have already established, and trying to find what I would call, and I'm still saying are trying to find the sweet spot, leveraging I would say the traditional business tools and traditional social approaches somewhere in the middle, looking at the business opportunities while solving the societal issues. So our belief is that, the topic of sustainability, the topic of environmental or social impact in general, the only way how we can address it is embedding it in everything what we do, in our mindset, in our policies, in our daily business, and building on our core strengths, partnering with organizations, with other companies, with governmental organizations, with Ashoka and others, that this is basically the only way how to really scale up and make a significant difference. So based on this collaboration, to make it also a little bit concrete, we established so-called Making More Health Accelerator Initiative, where we really started to focus on social entrepreneurs in order to generate the sustainability and start fueling the communities, working actually on all the elements of the communities. And this is basically also the ambition we have together with Ashoka also for the future, to really leverage their network and accelerate the engagement of the social entrepreneurs. Up to now, in the past 10 years, we are actually speaking about 50 million people that we somehow directly and indirectly impacted. And this is, of course, something that is an important milestone. But we also see that this is basically not, we need to increase our ambition, and we need to do even more in the years to come. So this would be a little bit history and summary of our Making More Health movement that actually exactly in this year has a 10-year tradition. And it's really built on this fundamental belief that of an active business involvement in this social movements, and also in basically building this shared value proposition. And again, I think my colleagues mentioned it as well. Our belief is the same. The only way forward is embedding it in everything what we do, in our policies, procedures, thinking, mindset. It is our expectations also on the leaders in the organization that they share these beliefs and basically helping us to move things forward. a partnership playing also absolutely key role. Arnold, I have been now talking a lot. Do you want me now to elaborate also on the topics of change and resistance, or should I give a chance now to other colleagues and maybe come back to it later?
Yeah, I would say let's pass the ball to Andrea
Okay.
and Sebastian. Then I will get back to you on the overcoming the resistances, you know. And so maybe Andrea, you want to share a bit of what Chanel is doing. I know in particular that, you know, Chanel is working in an unexpected, I would say, area, which is energy. And I think it could be very interesting because, to me, again, sourcing sounds quite natural for a fragrance type of company who needs to find the raw material and the best ones and secure this sourcing. But I think that you're also doing a lot of things that people don't really know about. So I would love for you to share these type of examples with us.
Yeah, with pleasure. I mean, it's always interesting how many parallels and similarities there are. By the way, Sebastian, as well, I have 5 children and 6 grandchildren. So, and again, the question is, how do we, for a company like ours, how do we maintain the long-term desirability of our brand for the future generations? And you know, everything in my own long-term experience in the company, each strategic decision we made has always been built on how can we create long-term value for the brand, never on short-term financials, just because the conviction was the short-term financial results follow up when we keep on the brand value in the long term. And in the moment in which in the company we have understood that this very strong commitment to social and environmental impact creates value for the brand, the change becomes quite natural. And it is not anymore the question of ROI, the question of conflict between short-term profitability and long-term sustainability target, just because it becomes part of the long-term strategy for the brand. But now, in a more concrete way, I think if you look at our impact of our activity, most of it is in our supply chain. Exactly what you were saying, okay? It's 80–90% of the impact we have on society and environment is through our supply chain. And there we really try to build on a community approach, because we only believe that it's the only way to address it. So we have quite a good mastering of our supply chain, especially for raw materials, for strategic raw materials. And we see how working with community, it's really the cross point where all the key material topics like climate change, like biodiversity protection, like human rights, come together. So working with small agricultural entrepreneur, small farm holders into pushing for and supporting them, shifting to low carbon regenerative agriculture, pushing them to adopt sustainable farming practices is the only way to ensure on the longer term the quality and the existence of our raw material, and really making the difference and making the impact which our company can do. But you were addressing another topic, and yes, indeed, we have been focusing quite a lot on climate recently. We have quite strong engagement of reducing our carbon footprint, especially on scope 3, on our supply chain according to science-based targets. And we are obviously, one can ask ourselves why. I mean, we are not such a huge consumer of carbon. We are not producing so much emission as a company. We're not so big footprint. Yet climate, it's really, in a way, if you want, the top of the iceberg. If you address climate, which is something which we know how to do, we can measure, we can be accountable for. If you want to address climate and reduce according to ambitious targets, you have to address all the key substantial challenges of the company. Biodiversity, human rights, they're all linked together. And that's why as well, we have committed ourselves through a sustainability linked bond to meet our target on climate. But more specifically on the topic you were addressing, Arnaud, our belief is that, again, you can never really separate environmental and social dimension of the project we are looking. So within our carbon strategy, we have a target of shifting to 100% renewable energy in 2025, obviously through installation in our own premises, very small impact, through buying green certificates, not very interesting. What's really interesting is to invest in projects where you do create additional renewable energy through power purchasing agreement or other financial mechanism. And again, the question I ask ourselves is that enough? I mean, we are, again, a small player. That will not change anything if we do this kind of operation. Why don't we remain true to what we believe and try to link a renewable energy project to a social impact? And so the project concretely, which we have started one year ago, it was long to put into place, is with Sunrun, which is one of the largest in solar panels in America. And we have an investment of around 100 million, out of which 35 million Chanel is carrying, for installing solar panels on the roof of social houses in California. The impact of this project is that we are generating additional energy, which covers more than 200% our energy needs in America, and Canada is our biggest market. But it gives solar energy free of charge for 35,000 families and create 20,000 hours of professional training and employment for people just to install and maintain. And I think it's an interesting exercise because it really shows how you can link the environmental and the social part, because at the end of the day, there will not be environmental success in fighting against climate change if we don't integrate the social dimension fully.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea. I think it's very interesting. It's probably just the beginning of a bigger ambition.
Exactly.
Sure.
We should go on in Europe for the next project.
So I'm going to the other father of a big family. So Sébastien, can you maybe share a bit of what Quercia is also doing? I think that Aquatab is also quite interesting model, and how you really want to accelerate this type of project. I would say exactly in the vein of what was said, in terms of combining social and economic value creation.
Yeah, you're right, Arnaud. So just to explain where we are coming. We've started this journey 4 years ago. We come from a family-owned group, and we have done a carve-out to start a LBO with Ardian, a private equity funds, and we have changed a lot the company. So of course, when you are changing, you need some time to be helped. And the first time we have done this analysis was to ask the question to collaborators. It was in June 18. We have used a very easy tools done by a startup in France to question our collaborators on what do you want, what do you wish, what are your ideas for the coming years. And that was very surprising because we have collected 1,453 ideas coming from collaborators to change the company. So that was the first step, but the previous step we have done in 16 with Ardian is to open largely the capital of the company. So when Ardian arrived, they allows us to invest our money inside the capital. And we've discussed this preliminary question at the beginning, and they say how many you want to be, and we said we would like to be 85. And Ardian, the reaction, because this is a primary LBO, Ardian said, okay, are you sure you want to be this number of people? And we say, yes, I think that's good for everyone and the company too. So they accept, and without any discussion. And today we are 10% of the total employees sharing a part of the capital. And you believe me, coming from a family-owned company with an entrepreneurship mindset and DNA, that's making people very empowered locally, because we are across 120 countries in the world, and that make the responsibility and the accountability of people very high level compared to other companies that have the same size. Inside our businesses, as mentioned by Arnaud, we've got also a very essential job on businesses, because we are making food safety from farm to fork, including the drinking human water. And we've got this exceptional brand leader, Aquatabs, that we've got in the range. And we are delivering some very sustainable solution to countries in development, for example, in Africa or Bangladesh, and sometimes for crisis. And with small tablets of disinfectant, we can purify the water for children at school, for example. And you know that for education of children, if they do not have water locally, they do not come to school. And I visited personally a school we are delivering, for example, in Kenya. And that's amazing because you do not need electricity, you do not need energy, you just need water coming from the roof, for example, and you treat 100 liters of water for children, allowing them to be educated. And what we have done and we want to accelerate now is the fact that thanks to this technology, very easy, this is a cartridge that you can replace. You don't need any specific training. We have a partner of us has created in Kenya, for example, company. And today they've got 40 employees, local employees, plumbers, for example, and they have their own companies, 2-3 people making the plumber system for installing the Aquatabs inline system. And we have multiplied, and today we've got 150,000 schools installed in Africa, and we want to deploy that with social entrepreneur to accelerate the growth of this model. And we've got some ideas like that for each stage of the food chain that we want to accelerate and to shift the mindset we have inside the company for the next step.
Thank you, Sebastian. I think thank you for also, mentioning that engaging with social entrepreneurs on this particular project is definitely an accelerator and is opening up new opportunities on, I would say, both the business and the social sides. And this is, I think, a good segue for you, Dana, to maybe come back on, overcoming the resistance and transforming the mindset and the culture of a company is quite heavy, right? And I think that as business leaders, you have probably undertaken several transformations, but as Andrea was saying, transforming through purpose, I would say, and through a meaningful purpose is really probably something that everyone truly understands. But still, and yet there are resistances. So I would love to hear from you a bit of your strategies to overcome those resistances, and also how working with social entrepreneurs is really helping making the case that it's worth investing in working with social entrepreneurs from, let's say, an R&D perspective, a talent development perspective, type of things. I think this would be very helpful.
Very glad, and thank you, Arno. I'm very passionate about these cultural topics because indeed I consider them as a very important part of what we do in our sustainability arena, and also what we do in our key pillar, making more house. It's almost kind of a paradox, yeah, because everybody, of course, believes that sustainability is important and our engagement in these social activities is very important. But when it comes down to the daily working, there is still a resistance, because you are coming to the dilemmas of there is no budget, who is accountable, it's on top of my duties, and all these operational questions, right? So you have this big strategic intent, and then if you are really coming to the people in the offices, you are facing a lot of challenges on very operational level, because they want to engage, but in a way they see the barriers. So how to help it? And ultimately, if we speak about change, why is change so scary? And ultimately, I think it's about a little bit being afraid of failing, because of course, if we are coming to these colleagues and coming with this interesting ideas how to engage, there is always in a way the fear of trying something new. Would it work? And it's on top of my duties, and how should I do it? And all these questions are, of course, in people's mind. And the question is how to deal with it, because I'm very sure this is not a new topic to anybody on this call. I mean, what we find out is that actually the engagement in social entrepreneurs and these initiatives is really helping to associate basically the daily working with a real purpose. Now, we are a pharmaceutical company, so of course we have a purpose in serving people and animals' health as well. But still, it does help a lot in their engagement and in the association of the purpose. It helps them also to learn new views. Yeah, I'm coming back to my initial topic of diversity, because simply the ways how these social entrepreneurs are looking at the challenges and the problems, it's very different. And it's very refreshing sometimes for us coming from a big corporate organization to be exposed and to be challenged by these different opinions and different views. And also to be able to help these entrepreneurs also in the principle of joint creation of a value. So I have to say we have actually even a formal training programs in BI that are focusing on enabling our leaders to participate in social activities in a, I would call it now, a little bit formalized and structured manner, and can only recommend it to everybody because actually the impact of these training programs, it's amazing for our employees, for our organization, also on the innovation element, because these people are then coming with ideas that are truly out of the box. And I would actually also say that it makes us probably also more rich as people, and also having a bigger toolbox on the leadership side, because I think it's also very clear to everybody the leadership where the knowledge or the expertise was the most important thing, it's over. And what we value, of course, now and expect from our leaders is the breadth of skills, and also being able to build partnership. Also, the external component is becoming more and more important for the leadership. And actually, this exposure in the programs that we are enabling to our leaders and potential leaders in the organization is helping really a lot with the people growth and with really gaining this new, fresh and different perspectives. I mean, we call it actually connected leadership. It's basically far beyond my silo and the functional leadership that we were used to, but it's really looking not only cross-functionally in the organization, but actually far beyond in order to create really the sustainability and the best value for all of us. As you hear, I'm really very passionate about the topic. I would be able to talk for the next 20 minutes, but I'm handing over to my colleagues. Thank you.
No, thank you, Dana. It's very interesting. And I think that this partnership has really helped us, at least on the Ashoka side, realize that when you reach this critical mass of people being exposed to these topics, in our case, more than 6,000 people have been engaged and trained, etc. So more than 10% of the workforce. The conversation starts shifting, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
How that irrigates, you know.
And it's the conversation, it's the beliefs, it's the excitement that you are creating in the organization.
Exactly. Andrea, are you experiencing the same type of, I would say, discussion if you compare that to other type of transformation? As you were saying, transforming through purpose is really the easiest transformation ever. But how do you create this movement internally? How do you create the buy-in? And sometimes it probably pushes some leaders to have to arbitrate, between creating economic value or doing good. So how do you convince them to do both?
Well, actually, it's a double movement from the top and from the bottom. You need to have a clear license to operate. I mean, the fact that this strategic direction has been defined as absolutely fundamental by our CEO and owner, it's critical. If you don't put that in front, if you don't give the license to operate to the teams, it doesn't work. Then the second issue is that it's a very complex topic with so many different aspects. You have to start already identifying priority areas. So the materiality analysis, it's obviously fundamental. But that's the only thing which has to come from the top. The license to operate, and that's a kind of framework. And then you give power. You give power to the people. We have created a network of ambassadors in each single function whose job was to identify potential projects which would nourish our sustainability roadmap. And at the same time, we created what we call a transformation fund. One of the key problems we are facing in the transformation is just simply the financial budgetary logic. I mean, even if we are a private company, we are not driven by short-term financial objective. We don't have to report to any investor. We are essentially only building value for the long term, yet we are managing budgets. And the budget can be absolutely blocking initiatives which have to be taken at the right moment and speed to create a dynamism inside the company. So what we created at the very beginning, when just started, is this transformation fund, whose purpose is not to give a kind of subvention to the company. I mean, it's just to helping jump-starting projects. And when the projects are established, the fund goes back and the costs flow within the normal business model. I just give you an example, which just come to my mind. One of our fragrance developer, which is as well in charge of purchasing, had a huge problem with a flower called ylang ylang, which comes from the Comore, which needs to be extracted very soon after the picking with a lot of energy in the kind of oven. And the problem is that the local people were using wood to fuel this oven, and the islands will get desertified with all the vicious circle, which you know perfectly, basically leading to migration and basically the fact that the ylang ylang was menaced to disappear. So what we're doing, we are concentrating our effort in one island, which has been protected. We have a social entrepreneur which helped us build a model in which the local people are collecting organic material from the woods, cooking that on solar oven into briquettes, and the briquettes are used for fuel the oven for the extraction. We have a RED Plus conservation program. We generate carbon credits, which co-finance this project. All of that has been made possible by the initiative of 2-3 people in the company, and the fact that they were empowered and had the money to do that. And now the supply chain has changed completely and is sustainable. So I think this has been a mechanism which has been quite interesting in accelerating the process of change. But at the end, I completely agree with Dana that what really makes this process of change sustainable in the longer term is the cultural shift. And in a company like ours, again, we can only repeat, which has been very, very steady in the way in which has been developed over the last 40 years, 28,000 people around the world, how to make change. And we are much younger in this experience of interacting with social entrepreneur and Ashoka and Changemaker. And there is growing enthusiasm in the company because we realize that it's not only a tool to create impact outside, but it is a tool of talent development. In a company which, through its size and to its steady business model, risks to lose flexibility, energy, entrepreneurship, to bring our talent outside in a totally different environment, an environment where the business model per definition is linked with the societal impact. It's a cultural shift that when they come back, accelerate the transition in an incredible way. So again, we are at the beginning. We have project in France, we have project now in Korea, we started in the UK, but the appetite is growing and there is clear return on this investment. And we are very excited about it and very passionate.
Thank you, Andrea. Sebastian, I think that what Andrea just said resonates probably a lot as per our discussion on shifting the culture and how to really empower and create these internal change makers within the company. What do you see as the potential barriers? You know, I think that it has been quite clear that it needs to come from the top, but also you need to cultivate the bottom-up approach. You need to empower people. What do you see at Kersia? It's the beginning of a journey, but what are you seeing and how to accelerate if needed?
As mentioned, Arnaud, we are at the beginning because we are actually training the first ambassadors. So we are a step behind Andrea and Dana for sure. So, clearly, we do not have a real barrier, I think, today yet, but I'm not naive. I know that in the coming months, we will be facing issues that mentioned by Dana and Andrea. So that's the reason why sharing is so important. It's to anticipate such issue that you know and that we will be facing in coming months. But what I think is the fact that even if we do not have a barrier, what I'm trying to do with collaborators is to be transparent, so to explain exactly what are our issues and what are our perspective and opportunities, to be very clear. But what to avoid such barrier, I think that the communication is key. So we are trying to to share, to communicate, to explain, to be didactic, pedagogic, and the team around me, they have done a very high-level job with the team of Ashoka, even with Ashoka to reformulate some document we are providing to collaborators to explain, probably, you know, to adapt the language we are speaking inside a Ashoka organization to the language we are speaking inside our organization. So I think that the barrier the collaborator they have, you know, this is natural fear or apprehension. But someone who has fear and apprehension, if you explain, if you are transparent with him, and if you help him to move forward, and he trusts you, he is moving. So he is never staying in the same position. And particularly in the area we've got today, impacted by COVID, for example, where the certainty, and we see this is the theme of your summit, is not sure. So I think that the company and the leaders, they have to bring them trust and to bring them perspective and sense on what they are doing every day. And that's what we are doing today. So at this time, we do not have barrier, but for sure we will be facing that. And probably this one, economical one in coming months, mentioned by Andrea.
Yeah, Andrea, you wanted to add something, I guess.
Yeah, I really like very much what has been said about the freedom of failing. And especially because when we are speaking about this project, let's say in-setting project in the supply chain, they are in an environment which is extremely vulnerable, extremely sensitive, and the risk of failing is huge. I mean, I remember the first project we did 15 years ago in Madagascar, really trying to stop deforestation and work with the local communities at different level, health and safety, education. It was basically a total failure. We have done everything wrong, which we could have done as a company, choosing the wrong partner, giving too much money, just creating dependencies, everything. And I think we need to understand that, especially when we work in this vulnerable, difficult situation, the risks of failure is there and has to be accepted as part of the business.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing it. I definitely agree that, you know, creating safe spaces for entrepreneurs or change makers inside the company to take risk and to learn from that is definitely fundamental, critical. As exactly what Sébastien said about being able to share a common vision, a very inspiring one, and also to help people really understand what it takes and how that will be rolled out, or, you know, what are the implications for the business. So thank you. Thanks a lot for this. I know that we have many questions. I would love to make justice to those who shared those. I know that Danny is with us and will maybe, you know, address those questions to the relevant people.
Yeah.
Danny, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Arnaud. So one of the questions is, what message could you share with other companies anchored in the corporate responsibility model who have not made the leap towards being a changemaker company? Maybe Dana, would you like to answer?
Yes, thank you for the question. And, you know, for me, the key message is it's really about embedding everything what we do in the social responsibility arena into our DNA. You cannot look at it separately. You might need a separate team for the rollout, for the start of the project, for the creation of the change, but it will only work if it really becomes part of the culture of the processes, of the decision making, if you are truly finding the balance, basically, I call it sweet spot, to really make it part of what you do. So that's why, you know, we even stopped calling it now social responsibility, because we really fundamentally believe it must become truly part of who we are and how we act, part of our beliefs, part of our leadership principles. Thank you for the question.
I think that, Andrea, you wanted to add something, right?
I can only totally agree. We as well, we banned the word CSR. That sustainability is the job of everybody in the company. The role of my team is to make sure that we challenge the company, that we bring the outside view inside, that we help them with expertise and measuring, but we are not in charge of making the change. The change has to come from all level and for all players in the company. It's also, you say, to become DNA. Completely agree.
Sébastien?
Yeah, just to complete, Arnaud, and because I agree with the words of Andrea, you know, we are using something very basic to be sure that collaborators understand. We are using the 3P, you know, model from Elkington, so the planet, profit, and people, and that makes a lot of sense because that's very easy to understand. We've got a few actions based on each pillar of the 3P model, And that's very understandable by people without any sometimes explanation.
Yeah, thank you. Andrea.
Just adding to that, we are in a strange situation, but I think it's the right place to be, where my biggest ally in the company is my CFO, because he considered that he's in charge of value creation, and value creation is not only financial, it's environmental and social. So we're basically working hand in hand on a daily basis.
Thank you. Denis, do we have another question?
Yes, we have a lot, and I feel a lot of responsibility that I have to pick one more, but I will pick this one. Would you say, with your experience, that without being part of these changes would impact your business sustainability, meaning the relationship with your stakeholders, the value of the company, etc.? Maybe Andrea, you want to go first?
Yeah, I would be quite radical. I mean, we sell luxury product, okay? We are obsessed by exclusivity. We have very few clients, very few people get inside our boutique, but our voice is heard by many. If our voice is only used to say we have nice product, we are dead. If our voice is not used to show that luxury should one day represent what's best in society, it's the only way luxury remains reasonably acceptable tomorrow. So it's not a question of doing good, it's a question of existence and subsistence of the company.
Thank you. Do we have another? Do we have time for a last one, maybe? Oh, Sebastian, you wanted to add something.
No, just to explain the fact that I consider a bit as Andrea that whatever the business you are doing, if you do not take care of your planet, people today, that's over. You are not at all in the pace of change we are facing now, and that's accelerating a lot due to COVID. And we are manufacturing some disinfectants, so we know particularly that pandemic are happening and will be increasing in the coming years. That's not to be alarmist, but that's due to the growth of the population, globally speaking. So it means that we have to be ready to adapt ourselves to that. So if you are not taking care about planet and people close to profit, because we need profit to move forward. If you do not that, I think that you are dead.
Yeah, I would fully agree with my colleagues. It's basically license to operate in the year 2020 and beyond. And for me, the nice example would be coming back to, the importance of basically the partners and the awareness, and also when it goes to relationship to the society. Let's look backwards. What happened to Volkswagen, right? I mean, 30% of corporate earnings just disappeared because of the emission topic. They lost the trust, etc. So that's why I really consider the sustainability topics as a license to operate for any company in the century and in the years where we are.
Thank you. I think we'll take a last one, and maybe after this one, if you can go for a short answer, we'll ask Dina, who has been scribing a lot during this session, to share what she captured, because it was super rich. I'm looking forward to seeing this drawing. But Dani, what's the last question?
The last one from Sophie is, she asked, what about the foundation of the company? Wouldn't be that a great space to test solutions Untitled for social innovation, take risk, as you mentioned before, under this freedom of failure umbrella? Sebastian, maybe, or Andrea?
But I can start, but we do not have foundation, for example. So we are not using such, I would say, organization or organism for making the project moving forward. So I'm not sure you need a foundation to change, to adapt yourself to what you are facing. So I think that the leaders has to demonstrate. So for example, in the Ashoka program, we have just started 1 month ago. I'm one of the 15 ambassadors we have in the company. And that's very interesting, because the collaborators, they are considering myself as, of course, particular collaborators, because I'm the CEO, but they are very happy to share that moment with me. And I'm very happy to share that moment with them, because I know them better and I feel what they are living every day in their mission and job. So that's really very, very interesting, but we do not have foundation. So that's feasible without foundation.
Andrea, yes, you have
Yeah, I completely agree. The change of the company has to happen on its own. But indeed, the fact of having a foundation is, as we said in the question, actually quite interesting. We have since 10 years a foundation, which is on advancing the role of women in society. It's about social integration, economic empowerment, and has been really a laboratory for us, a laboratory of interfacing social entrepreneurship, very much many programs, working with funds, working with creating alliances among different social partners in the fields where we were operating, has been a laboratory of ideas, and actually that is very precious. And this as well a kind of pride for the employees as well. So it helps, but it should not be the solution. I mean, it's just a peripheral part of the solution. The solution has to come from the company, not from the foundation.
Thank you so much. I think that Dina is with us. So Dina, can you just share, your drawing from this session? And while you are doing so, I would love to really thank very deeply our three panelists today and the team behind. Wow, it's quite rich. But yes, I think that some of the takeaways is that it's a learning journey. It's really about shifting the mindset. It's really about empowering people. It's really about being able to communicate the big challenge that this is and really build on diverse perspectives. I think that companies understanding this, again, this new game and this shifting environment and ready to undertake this journey and to do baby steps. I think that you can only walk one step at a time are really the ones who are probably in a much better place to be resilient and to go through the crisis we're all going through. So thank you for this great session. Thank you again. Apologies for the questions we could not really answer today, but I'm pretty sure that the speakers will be approached separately on their social networks, etc. But again, a big thank you for all of that. It was super insightful. I'm looking forward to continuing our collaborations. Thank you, guys, and see you in the near future.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.